Hey guys, this week I was honored to play Hikaru Nakamura in Taro Tuesday. In this video I want to show you that game where I had really good chances to win versus one of the best players in the world, and also want to tell you 3 lessons I can highlight from this game. Actually I was watching his stream and then I saw he was paired in round number 4 against some FIDE master, and I said, well, Hikaru is playing FIDE master, he's gonna win this game, this round, more or less easily. And then I said, wait, it's me. So I stopped the stream, I went to chess.com, and then we started our game. I said I need to play my best opening where I feel really well, where I feel more comfortable. So I decided to play English opening. So the game was c4, e5, knight c3, knight f6, and then after knight f3 he played knight c6. And here we have these 4 knights in English opening. I decided to play at this point this move e4. It's a line I really like. I have seen Magnus Carlsen playing this variation more or less often in some recent tournaments, but also in the World Rapid Championship, the young and talented Abdusattorov, the player who won the tournament, played this line in many of his games as white. Actually, he played it against Carlsen and also against Nepomniachtchi, and he won both games. So it's a line I know more or less fine, and I decided I wanted to try it against Hikaru. So he played the bishop b4, is probably the main line here. I played d3, black played h6, not so common but very playable. I played a3, bishop takes e3, b takes e3, d6, bishop e2, he castled, and I did the same. At this point he played knight h7, he wanted to expand with f5, I continued my development, bishop e3, f5, I need to take here, bishop takes f5, and at this point I made my first mistake in this game. Here I played knight e1, which is not the best move in this position. The right move for this moment is c5, and here we have lesson number 1, and it is to keep in mind this typical idea to get rid of the doubled pawns. This is a structure we can get in, well, in this line we can get it, of course, but also in some other variation, like in Nimso Indian, we can get something like this, where the pawn is a little more advanced. So these ideas of c5 are very common in those lines to get rid of the doubled pawns, but also there's some pressure here on b7, and there are some checks. And besides, we need to keep in mind that in this position white has the 2 bishops, so if at some point white can open the position, they could get a consistent advantage in this game. Well, I did not see this idea in the game, I just played knight e1, not so good, and Hikaru played queen e7. I tried rook b1, this is a half open file, pressure here on b7, he played b6, queen d2 looks more or less normal, black played rook a e8, knight c2, and knight d8. At this point I said, well, there's nothing else here, so I'm going to e1 with my rook, which is fine because the queen is also there, and all the tension is actually here on this file by now. Black played here knight e6, and I tried knight b4, which is not the best. There was this idea here of bishop h5, taking advantage of the fact that his bishop is blocked by his own pieces. So there was this idea where after bishop h5, if he moves the rook, now I'm controlling g6, so the bishop cannot move that much, so I could be trying some g4. So after bishop h5, probably black needs to play g6, and then I can just go back to f3, and this position is looking interesting for white, as the pawns are so advanced, the king is not so safe, and probably I'm a little better here. Well, instead of bishop h5, I did not see this idea, I just played knight b4, wanting to go to c6 or d5, it looks like a nice idea. He played queen f7, I tried the bishop d1, improving the bishop, but also clearing the line, so my rook is a little better on the e file. Knight f6 was played, knight d5, queen g6, pressure here on d3, pressure on g2, some ideas with bishop h3 at some point, bishop c2, I need to defend that pawn, knight takes d5, c takes d5, and the best move for black here is knight f4. Hikaru played knight g5, and I got some interesting chances. I got an equal middle game after knight g5. After knight f4 I could have traded, but this position is very good for black. They have pressure here again, also pressure here, and well, black pieces are just better here. Look at my bishop, it's blocked by my pawns. Well, in the game, he played knight g5, and then I decided to trade the bishop for the knight, which is the right move. H takes g5, rook e3 is lifting the rook, improving some ideas with the pressure on the g pawns, but also some ideas about doubling rooks on e. g4, bishop a4, rook e7. Now there is like a pin over here, so I can get rid of this target and at the same time put pressure here on e5. So I played d4, he pinned my rook, I unpinned, but also increased the pressure here on e5. He tried queen f6, I traded, he traded back, and then this move rook e1. Too much pressure here on e5, the rook cannot come on e8, so this is getting really interesting now. He found this idea, bishop g6, and this is a way to defend e5, because if I take now, it's going to be a blunder, because he can just trade and then mate me over here. Of course, I did not take that pawn on e5, and I cannot take the pawn on g4 either for the same reason. So I decided to play here f3 and get rid of the pressure over that file, which is not the best move in this position. Actually, this is my best moment in this game. Here I had a move getting decisive advantage for white. There's only one move getting such a big advantage here, and well, it's a little tough, it's a little hard to find, even more under time pressure. I will say it very soon, but if you want, try to find it. Again, remember, it's hard to find. It's a really deep idea. I will say it right now. So the move getting a big advantage for white is going to be the surprising bishop b3. And here we have the lesson number 2 I wanted to highlight here, and it is open your mind to retreat moves. Retreat moves like this one here, just going back with your bishop, are hard to find, especially when you have a piece in a good position, not letting the rook come. It's hard to come with an idea like this. So, you know, we need to open a little our horizon and try to see a little further, and keep in mind this kind of ideas, because sometimes they are really strong. Well, let's see why this move is so strong. Bishop b3. First of all, I'm threatening d6 with a discovered getting the rook, but there are some moves stopping that, so let's see. For example, rook d7 is a way to get rid of the threat, but then he might be losing the pawn on e5. Another move here is bishop f7, which is stopping the discovered, is putting the bishop in the middle. But the problem is that it's disconnecting the rook and the queen, so no more pressure here on f2. I could be getting, for example, the pawn on g4. It's interesting that in this position, I need to take this one instead of this one. If I take here on e5, I'm actually lost here, because black can trade and play rook e8, and then I'm in trouble here. There's a skewer, and probably I need to sacrifice the queen here, I think. So this is not the right move. The right move could be the capture of the pawn on g4, but it's clearly better, decisive advantage for white in that line. So probably the best option, or the most challenging idea here, is king h8. That seems to solve most of the problems. I shouldn't still capture here, as he's getting f2, and same thing over here. However, there is another very subtle move here for white, and it is this h3. The idea is that black cannot really take, because then I'm taking with my rook with many ideas, and then I'm taking on g4. So it's like I'm attacking the pawn and I'm getting the pawn. For example, if they take here, I can just play rook takes pawn, and after bishop h7, I can play bishop c2 here. Too much pressure here, only move for black is g6. And well, the engine is suggesting here something like queen d2, putting the queen on dark squares. This position is decisive advantage. Maybe it's not so clear for humans. For the engines, it's very clear. But for us, we can keep in mind other things. Like, for example, his bishop is not playing. The king is a little discovered, so we could say there is the king's safety is not good. And finally, we need to highlight the pawn structure. Like, there are weak pawns, and they are very easy to attack in the next moves. Unfortunately, I did not find this bishop b3. I just played here f3, and well, even when it's not the best move in the position, I still have a more or less equal middle game here. He took, I took, he played queen d6, I traded on f8, and at this point I made a decisive mistake. Black is attacking both pawns here, d5 and a3. I tried by playing queen f2 and after king g8, c4, but yeah, of course this is losing a3, so I'm lost here. So the right way to play in this position, and here we have lesson number 3 I wanted to highlight here, and it is queen e4, and the lesson is the best defense is the counter attack. I thought it was a good moment to highlight this idea. Observe that instead of protecting either of my pawns, I'm just counter attacking g6. Also many threats with queen c8 connected to rook f1 because the king is not very well on the open file. So this queen g4 is actually keeping the game equal and pretty good chances to get at least a draw in this game. For example, king g8, I'm getting a draw by perpetual. I can just play queen c8 check, and when the king comes up, queen h3, I have a draw here more or less easily. I did not find this queen g4, so now queen f2, king g8, c4, I'm losing one pawn, so this is just winning for black. I tried the bishop c6, he played the rook f7, queen e2, putting pressure here, but after the check, I go to h1, he plays e4, and everything is protected. In this position, I made the final mistake, it's just a blunder. Probably queen g4, I can still play a little more, but down in the clock and also down on the board against Hikaru, it was going to be really hard to get even a draw here. So, well, I played the bishop e8. I thought I could be able to trade the bishop and get e4, but I missed this opportunity. Rook f2 is a discovered, and then black is attacking my queen and black is attacking my bishop at the same time. So I played queen g4, he takes my bishop, I take the pawn on e4, bishop f7, and here I played queen e5, and at the same time I resigned. As he has a piece up, he's getting more pawns, and also he's up in the clock. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you guys have any question, let me know in the comments. If you want to learn how to play English Open, including these scams we saw in this game against Hikaru, check out this interesting video over here. I'm sure you will enjoy it and it will help you a lot. Thank you so much guys, like, subscribe, see you on the next.